Here with you guys today. Pinch me, I must be dreaming. Did Cathy Engelbert just give Caitlin Clark credit? And did she not only give Caitlin Clark credit, but she didn't list off 15 other players as well? Yeah, Caitlin Clark is the huge part of our success. Not Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Beckers. Not Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart. Not Caitlin Clark, Aneka Ogumike. Caitlin Clark is a huge part of our success. Caitlin Clark is a huge reason.
Cathy Engelbert finally said it. No fluff, no lists, and absolutely no mention of Angel Reese. She sat across from Pat McAfee and dropped the bombshell that everyone in the WNBA front office has been trying to bury for months. The credit for the league's massive growth belongs to exactly one person. Caitlin Clark. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated truth. It sent shockwaves through the basketball world. For the first time, the commissioner stopped the gaslighting and admitted what the numbers have been screaming. The silence regarding the other stars was deafening, and it signaled a massive shift in how the league is going to be marketed moving forward.
You need to promote her if you want the ratings, but you know what I took away from this? Not necessarily that Cathy Engelbert's turning a new leaf. Oh my God, I woke up today, doing time to stop being foolish. Maybe she did. But this is also what happens when you get these people talking in front of media who aren't paid shills. When you get them talking to media who aren't just going to bend over and listen to the lies that these people push forth. This was on the Pat McAfee show. In case you guys aren't aware, Pat McAfee, a bit of a renegade. Calls a spade.
Pat McAfee isn't your typical media personality who just reads a teleprompter and smiles for the camera. He is a renegade who calls a spade a spade. And Cathy Engelbert knew she was walking into a lion's den. Usually, when she is on CNN or talking to the New York Times, she is allowed to pivot and mention 20 different players to keep everyone happy. But with Pat, that was not going to fly. He has already done the legwork, showing PowerPoint presentations that prove the attendance and ratings are tied directly to number 22. Cathy knew if she tried to mention Angel Reese as an equal contributor, Pat would have lit her up with the cold, hard facts right there.
This was on the Pat McAfee show. In case you guys aren't aware, Pat McAfee, a bit of a renegade. Calls a spade a spade. If Cathy Engelbert was to maybe weasel in a few names there's probably a small part of her mind that says, man, he might actually call me out on this. If you guys remember, during Caitlin Clark's rookie season, Pat McAfee did a 5-minute PowerPoint presentation speaking on how it's only because of Caitlin Clark. The growth is only because of Caitlin Clark. The attendance is only because of the viewership is only.
The fallout from this interview has been nothing short of explosive. For months, the narrative has been that the WNBA's success is a collective effort, involving a long list of rookies and veterans. But when the money was on the line and the cameras were rolling on the most influential sports show in the country, Cathy Engelbert folded on that narrative. She admitted that Caitlin Clark is the huge reason this transformational media deal was done, not a part of it, not one of many, but the reason. This direct admission has reportedly left players like Angel Reese feeling completely sidelined after a season where they were told they were just as vital to the bottom line.
Wisely, because she knows Pat McAfee will call her to the carpet. Whoa, Cathy, what do you mean because of Angel and Paige? What are you talking about, Cathy? Can you please elaborate on that? Because we have data. What? Data? He does that on the show. We have data, and it kind of only points to one individual. So is Cathy Engelbert turning a new? Maybe not. Is Cathy Engelbert choosing her words carefully? Kind of speaking more of the truth because she knows she can't gaslight Pat McAfee? She knows she can't just lie to Pat McAfee? Pat McAfee, one of the few people at ESPN.
You could see the hesitation in Cathy's eyes before she spoke. It was the look of a commissioner who realized that her job depended on being honest, for once. For too long, the league has tried to play both sides, wanting the Caitlin Clark money while refusing to give her the solo credit, but Pat McAfee does not care about the league's PR feelings. He understands that the fans aren't stupid, they see who is selling out the arenas and who is driving the record-breaking TV ratings. By forcing Cathy Engelbert to speak the truth, he effectively stripped away the participation trophies that the WNBA has been handing out to the rest of the rookie class all year.
Out others in the media, Pat, ESPN, hey Pat, you're really our only draw here. You're really our only personality. We'll kind of let you do your own thing. This is Cathy Engelbert, scared shitless to gaslight in front of a person who will call her out. You see that, shill media? You see that? The truth comes out when they know you won't just kiss their ass the entire time. Let's take a look at some of the reactions. Why didn't she mention every player from the W in that spot? This Sheila Johnson meme, the owner of the Mystics, this is going to go down in history as one of
the brutal truth that Pat McAfee pushed is that the data only points to one individual. When you look at the metrics, the spike in viewership happens when Caitlin Clark is on the floor. The merchandise sales skyrocket when her name is on the jersey, yet, the commissioner had been acting like this was a shared glory. Imagine being Angel Reese and hearing that your rival is the great ambassador, and a huge part of the success, while your name is not even a footnote in the conversation about the league's new multi-billion-dollar future. It is a bitter pill to swallow after a season spent trying to prove you belong in the same breath.
Meme, the owner of the Mystics, this is going to go down in history as one of the great WNBA memes. Sounds like a job-saving move. Cathy needs to go. Someone had to talk with her. Did Adam talk with her? I just want her to stop pretending she's been doing all she could do for this league and quit taking credit for things that they were forced to finally provide because of the media's focus on Cece. No, Cathy is doing everything that she could do for this league. The league was about to fall into pieces. Now Caitlin Clark came and revived the league, brought it out of the basement into the forefront, but Cathy's been doing all that she could do for this league.
Cathy Engelbert's sudden change of heart feels like a desperate, job-saving move. The WNBA was on the verge of falling into pieces financially before this season. They were playing in front of empty seats and struggling for any mainstream relevance. Then Caitlin Clark arrived and revived the entire operation, dragging it out of the basement and into the forefront of sports culture. Some fans believe Cathy was forced into this honesty by the higher-ups at the NBA, or perhaps by the networks themselves, who are tired of the fake narrative. They want the star promoted, because that is where the ratings live, and Cathy finally had to fall in line.
Out of the basement into the forefront, but Cathy's been doing all that she could do for this league. So, to think she didn't mention another name alongside Clark for once, wow, they must have seen the numbers. Yeah. Folks, every time we've heard of Cathy Engelbert speaking about the transformational growth, whether it's on CNN, New York Times, writing an article, she always brings up everybody else's name. It seems to be a theme within the WNBA. Remember during the season last year, they asked Stephanie White, hey, Stephanie White, what do you think about Caitlin Clark? Oh, Caitlin Clark's great, but what about all these other players that came before her? It's like, Stephanie, we didn't ask you that question. What are you doing? Are you Caitlin Clark's...
This interview was a far cry from the usual shill media interactions we see. Usually, reporters are too scared to ask the tough questions, because they don't want to lose their credentials or be labeled as biased. They bend over and listen to the lies that these executives push, but Pat McAfee is too valuable to ESPN for them to muzzle him. He says what he wants, and that independence creates a space where the truth can actually breathe. Cathy Engelbert was visibly shaken, because she knew she couldn't weasel in a few extra names without being called to the carpet. She had to pick her words with surgical precision.
Clark, her props for literally turning the WNBA into what it is today without mentioning Angel Reese, A'ja Wilson, Paige Beckers. There is hope for Cathy. I thought this was an April Fool's joke. Now, this whole entire interview, Cathy Engelbert saying nice things about the league, saying nice things about the player, outclassing Defisa Collier, outclassing all the players that went out in the media and publicly trashed her. Cathy Engelbert's just a different type of than Defisa Collier. She's not just going to drag the players through the mud just to drag them through the mud. It's not her spot, but again, she just...
The irony of the situation is that Cathy Engelbert has spent most of her tenure trying to be the ultimate diplomat. She never wanted to hurt anyone's feelings or create a hierarchy, but sports are built on hierarchies. There is a reason why certain players get the biggest shoe deals and the most commercial time. By trying to pretend that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark were equal drivers of the league's economy, she was actually hurting the league's credibility. Fans in the comment sections were quick to point out that even a dead clock is right twice a day. It took her long enough, but she finally acknowledged the reality of the situation. Think about the message this sends to the rest of the locker rooms across the WNBA. For years, these women have played for peanuts in front of small crowds. Now, a massive deal has been struck that will change their lives forever, providing better travel, higher salaries, and more exposure. And the commissioner just went on the biggest platform in sports and said it happened because of one person. It is a reality check that is likely causing a lot of tension behind the scenes. The North remembers how the league tried to hide this fact for months, and the sudden pivot feels calculated rather than genuine. Angel Reese has built a massive brand around being the Chi-Town Barbie, and a direct competitor to Clark. She has been vocal about wanting her respect and her flowers, but respect in the business world is measured in dollars and cents. When Cathy Engelbert credited Clark for the transformational growth without mentioning the rivalry or the other players, she effectively ended the debate about who the face of the league is. It wasn't a shared crown, it was a solo coronation. For a player as competitive as Reese, seeing the commissioner give away all the credit must feel like a betrayal of the highest order. The move to play up to 52 games in the future is a direct result of the Clark effect. The league knows that more games equals more revenue, but only if people are watching. They wouldn't be expanding the schedule if they were still relying on the pre-2024 numbers. Cathy admitted that when she started, they were playing 32 games. The jump to 52 is massive, and it is a heavy burden on the players' bodies. To ask them to play more while simultaneously telling them that they aren't the ones responsible for the growth is a dangerous game. It creates a rift between the front office and the athletes who feel undervalued. Pat McAfee's influence cannot be overstated here. He represents a new breed of sports media that values authenticity over corporate talking points. He knows that his audience can see through the smoke and mirrors. When he did that 5-minute PowerPoint presentation during Clark's rookie season, he set the tone for the entire year. He told the world that the growth was tied to her. Cathy Engelbert likely saw that presentation and realized she couldn't go on his show and play the same old games. She knew he had the data ready to go, and she didn't want to be embarrassed on live television. There is a sense that the WNBA is finally waking up to how the big leagues operate. You don't see the commissioner of the NBA pretending that a bench player is just as important as LeBron James for the league's marketing. They lean into their superstars because superstars drive the business. For some reason, the WNBA felt it needed to be fair to everyone, which only ended up confusing casual fans. By narrowing the focus to Caitlin Clark, Cathy is finally acting like a professional sports executive instead of a non-profit director. It is a harsh shift, but one that was long overdue for the league's survival. However, the timing of this honesty is suspicious to many. Why now? Why on Pat McAfee's show and not in a league-issued press release? It feels like the pressure of the new media deal forced her hand. The networks paying billions of dollars want to know that the league understands its own value proposition. They are paying for the Clark audience, not the "everyone gets a turn" philosophy. If Cathy didn't start singing the right tune, she might have found herself out of a job. This was a survival tactic, a way to show investors that she finally understands what she is selling. The reaction from fans has been a mix of relief and skepticism. Many are saying it took her long enough, and better late than never. They are tired of the narrative that suggested the league was already on this trajectory before Clark arrived. Some even speculate that figures like Adam Silver may have had private conversations behind the scenes. The pressure from the top of the basketball world to maximize this moment is immense, and Cathy was the one holding back the floodgates of reality for the sake of political balance. Let's not forget how other players have handled this. Napheesa Collier and others have been vocal at times, even criticizing the commissioner publicly. While Cathy didn't drag players through the mud, her silence on their contributions during this interview spoke volumes. She understood the PR battle, and by elevating Clark, she subtly outmaneuvered critics while putting others in their place. It was a calculated power move that showed she is finally ready to operate at a higher level. The WNBA has always struggled with its identity. It wanted to be a social movement and a sports league at the same time, but those goals don't always align. A sports league needs stars, rivalries, and clear hierarchies. A social movement emphasizes equality. By choosing to credit Caitlin Clark specifically, Cathy Engelbert chose the sports league path. It is a brutal shift, but also a clearer, more sustainable one. For Angel Reese, this could mark a turning point. She has built her persona as both rival and counterweight to Clark, but if the league stops treating her as a co-headliner, her leverage in future negotiations could shift. In the business of basketball, value is measured in revenue, and Cathy's comments just reframed that equation. In the end, this wasn't just an interview, it was a public confession. Cathy Engelbert admitted that the league's future is tied heavily to one star, and she did it on a platform that wouldn't let her dodge the question. Whether it came from pressure or realization, the result is the same: the era of shared credit is fading, and the era of the solo superstar has taken center stage. The ultimate takeaway is simple: honesty is the only sustainable path forward. You cannot build a major sports business on mixed messaging. By acknowledging Caitlin Clark's impact, the WNBA is signaling a shift toward clarity, focus, and growth, even if it comes with tension.